Welcome back to Bleav in Softball, presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Jenna, and it is officially the Season 7 premiere. I feel like those athletes who redshirted and they had a COVID year too, and they're like still around for their 7th year of college. But to be honest, I'm not mad about it because 2026 softball is here and it's opening day for the show, but it's also opening day for D1 college softball. We made it to the first pitch. So however you got here today, whether you downloaded the audio version on Apple, Spotify, etc., or you're watching the video on YouTube, thank you and welcome. Subscribe and rate the show wherever you get your pods. You can follow us on Instagram and X at Bleav in Softball. That's BLEAV. And there's merch. Click the link in our bio on either page or go to shop.bleav.com to purchase 3 different shirts available, covering our bases, safer out, and catch you soon. Let me know which one's your favorite. All right, let's go through today's batting order. First, we will be covering our bases. I'm going to share some call outs for this year. Then we'll head into today's interview with Jo Evans. She's been coaching college softball for 40 years with a different type of experience at each stop and just such a great perspective. So I'm just thrilled to have her as our leadoff this year. And then we'll bring it home and wrap up with some final thoughts. All right, let's go. Covering our bases. We're back with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we're locked in for college softball to start this week. And of course, the Super Bowl makes it even bigger. I'm in the Bay Area right now where the big game is being played, so you can just feel the energy. And plus, it's the biggest betting weekend of the year. So whether you're a diehard NFL fan or you're tuning in for the commercials, FanDuel is there for you. They have everything from player receiving yard props to rushing props, plus those same game parlays that let you get creative. FanDuel's SGP menu is deep and impressive, so you can really build some fun combinations around player performances and game outcomes. Keep this in mind, football fans. Run, don't walk. Because we believe in softball and we believe in FanDuel. And I believe in softball in 2026. Every single year, I don't know how we're going to top the last year, but somehow we managed to do it. So just going through what we can expect here in 2026. College softball, there are 5 teams who are pretty consistently at the top across all the Division I polls. Even if the order differs a little bit, these are the 5 to keep in mind: Texas, Texas Tech, OU, Tennessee, and Oregon. Florida's also right there on the edge, and then Florida State, Arkansas, Nebraska, and UCLA round out the top 10. Now, we know this is just in the preseason. It's based on a lot of speculation at this point, and all that matters is who gets there in the end. And ESPN is broadcasting over 3,200 games again this season. There are going to be a record number on the main channel, so we are just still the luckiest and still excited to see it grow even more. A big storyline is it is the second year after some major conference realignment. Obviously, Texas and OU went to the SEC, Stanford and Cal went to the ACC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon to the Big Ten, and Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah to the Big 12. Most of the teams finished in the top half of their new conferences, and they all have really made an impact in their new places. I'm curious to see adjustments play out. What does travel look like? The scheduling? What have they learned? And, they're more familiar with their opponents in conference play. So we'll see how it plays out. Impact transfers, that'll affect that as well. Obviously, everyone's talking about Texas Tech. They have multiple transfers and some All-Americans in the mix. They're going to build that offense around Nigeri Kennedy, and they're going to be pretty scary. So yes, they have hitters like Mia Williams, Taylor Pannell. They have Lagi Quiroga, Jasmine Burns. They have a ton of people coming in to help. But also in the circle, Caitlin Terry. She's a lefty that can maybe help Nija out a little bit. So just a team to definitely keep an eye on and see how they gel. That's the thing that I'm curious to see. I also think Sydney Berzon going to OU from LSU is going to be really interesting. They lose Sam Landry, but Jen Rocha, one of the best pitching coaches, if not the best in the country, and she has turned so many pitchers from good to great, especially transfers as well. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out with such a great hitting team if they have all the tools together. So I think underrated ones could be like a Dakota Kennedy and Tiana Bell going to Arkansas. Elon Butler and Amari Harper going to Oregon, for example. Some of these players who came from programs out west They're a little underrated in the national scene, in my opinion. So I think it'll be cool to see them in their new spots. Those are just a few examples because I'm generally looking forward to seeing some of the under the radar teams break through like we always seem to do. For me, this is my third season working with D1 softball. We actually kicked off the new season of the D1 softball podcast this week. Check it out. And I'm still leading the digital content team. So going to various events with coverage like the ESPN tournament in Clearwater and Mary Nutter in the preseason, conference tournament, and the World Series. Plus, podcasts, social media, all the exciting stuff that we got going on. It's a new season and a new chapter, so I'm excited to grow even more. For summer ball, the American Collegiate League umbrella keeps expanding across the country. So they'll add leagues like in New England, for example, this summer. Travel ball, really still led by the PGF and Alliance Fast Pitch in those championships with some top college recruits in the country. On the pro softball side, it is the second season of the Athletes Unlimited Softball League. So the expansion from the original 4 teams, the Bandits, Bleav, Talents, and Volts, have now added 2 more, the Spark and the Cascade. The expansion draft mixed it up a little bit, what the rosters look like, and the college draft is still to come with honestly one of the best senior classes that we've seen in a while. So I'm excited for that. Official cities for the franchises have been announced too, and this is what we've been waiting for. It's the Chicago Bandits, which if you know, the history there, that feels perfect. The Utah Talons, Carolina Bleav, Texas Volts, OKC Spark, which is an existing team that is now becoming a part of Athletes Unlimited, and a brand new team with the Portland Cascade. So a ton of players and coaches and GMs have been on this show, and I'm just looking forward to seeing them all go to work this summer. Plus, that MLB support is the kind of thing that we've wanted for a long time that we're finally seeing. So only up from here. Other existing pro teams like the Atlanta Smoke, Florida Vibe, New York Rise, and some more, and some new teams. For example, the Kansas City Diamonds are set to debut in the new professional softball league this summer. Kansas City, a pretty cool spot and a hub now for a lot of emerging women's sports support. Very cool. Internationally, we are still gearing up for another Olympic return in LA 2028, aka OKC in our case for the softball fans. The Winter Olympics happening in Milan this year is interesting. Although it's not the same, of course, as the Summer Olympics for us, it's still, there's something about seeing the games that can't help but get you a little excited for 2028. Japan's JD League is finalizing its schedule as well. So competitive, so many American players who really hone their craft over there also. Over 230 games just in the regular season, and it starts in April, and then typically there's a break before it finishes in the championship in the fall. So much coming up. We are just scratching the surface. It's just the first episode of 2026. We'll get into all of it this season. When it comes to broadcasting, I'm still at it, guys. Still at it. Opening weekend at the brand new Stanford Softball Stadium. That's where I will be on the call. Cardinal are hosting Oklahoma State in 2 ranked matchups. That'll be really fun. And they're hosting Cal in a non-conference matchup, very rare, and San Jose State. So the games are going to be on ACC Network Extra through ESPN. You can find it through ESPN Plus, and you might need a cable package with ACC to access it through your TV provider. So tune in. There is just nothing like opening day and weekend. And someone who I guarantee agrees with that is today's guest. So let's head into the interview. She's a 40-year coaching veteran, current head coach at UC Santa Barbara, previous leader of Texas A&M for 26 seasons, NFCA and Utah Hall of Famer, 5-time conference champion, and 7-time Coach of the Year, Joe Evans. Coach, thank you for joining. I've really been looking forward to this.
Sure, I'm excited about it. Yeah, thank you.
I think the last time that we chatted was on the D1 Softball Live selection show this past season. So I'm excited for us to get to catch up. And I don't know if you remember, but I am from the 805. So I grew up in Camarillo. Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah. See, I've got to keep track of all the 805 people. This is a little new to me, so it's always nice to meet someone from our area.
Yes, and obviously it has a special place in my heart. Born and raised there. I know you said you love the area, but do you still feel that way a few years
It's
in?
amazing. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? It's the best. It's such a great place to live. Santa Barbara, just the beauty of the mountains. And you see the mountains every day, and then you have the ocean, just so nearby. We're like a stone's throw from both, and it's such a great quality of life. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches for sure.
It's a good way to put it. It's
Yeah.
basically paradise. You're playing
Yeah.
softball at the beach.
Yeah.
So,
If you complain about living here, there's something wrong with you.
yeah, I would agree with that for sure. I think I appreciated it more even after I left, although
Yeah.
I split time now in the Bay Area. So I'll take the 101 the whole way there and
Yeah.
back. And
Yeah.
it's my favorite stretch, though, definitely
Yeah.
going through Santa Barbara.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous when you can see the ocean there, and just the green hills and the ocean. It's really spectacular.
It truly is. And I remember you saying, too, that you were very intentional in
Yeah,
choosing UCSB.
yeah,
Why the Gauchos? Why this program?
yeah. I was at a point in my career where now I'm going to make a decision based solely on where I want to live.
Hmm.
And I've loved all the other places I've lived. And I went there because of the job. And I had been here a couple of times with my A&M teams. I always picked a place I wanted to visit for spring break, so I was a little selfish in that way, but they were always good places. So we had come here a couple of times, and I was when this job came open, I was like, wait a minute, that might be a thing, and I didn't I didn't know much about the program. I looked it up a little bit and known they had struggled some, but really it didn't matter to me. I was very intentional, and I want to live in this climate with this kind of beauty. I want to get out of the heat and the humidity. Nothing against Texas, but it'll wear you out, the heat and the humidity. And it just felt like the right move at the right time for me. My family's in Salt Lake City, so it's a 2-hour direct flight home, and I can get home and see my parents and my siblings. And so it makes complete sense for me and where I am at this point in my career.
I feel that on the humidity. Having grown up where you are now, it's
Yeah,
hard. It's
yeah,
hard to go back.
yeah, yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, a hot day here, if it gets in the 80s, you're like, wait a minute, we've got a heat wave, so it's just so different. But it's just a really terrific quality of life. And as hard as we work as coaches, and we're all grinding, and we're all giving everything we possibly have to be successful, if you can do it in a place that you just absolutely love to live, and that fits your lifestyle. I love being outside. I've told people I didn't buy a car when I came here. I was at a dealer car, we're a little spoiled where I was. And so I didn't own a car when I came here. I bought a nice pedal assist bike, and I ride to work every day. And it's really, I don't know. I shouldn't just keep running on about it, but it really is a good quality of life.
I would imagine that doesn't hurt in your recruiting conversations too.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, if I was a kid, I'm like, "Oh, wait, the dorm's on the ocean, literally." Like, I can walk out my dorm and I'm on the sand in a minute. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better.
Yeah.
And even though you're in paradise, I feel like something that stood out, especially this last season, about the program, they're tough too.
Yeah.
Winning
Yeah.
6 straight elimination games to win the first ever Big West tournament last year. I remember you saying it might have been the grittiest team you've ever coached.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that saying a lot?
Yeah, it really is, because I've coached really gritty kids. I mean, I've kind of like made a living off of just being a blue collar coach and recruiting blue collar players. And these kids, I didn't recruit a lot of those kids. Now we've got one class that I haven't recruited, and then all the others I did. But we're doing this with kids who are already here, which tells you what kind of person this place draws, what kind of quality of individual. And it's just made all the difference. These kids, I came in thinking, okay, I've heard of Montecito, Santa Barbara, Montecito, and I know Oprah lives there.
Yep.
So of course everybody's loaded, everybody's got all this money, and it's fancy and maybe a little snobbish. And It's not that. This school is very, kids are very grounded, very down to earth, and people are coming here for this well rounded experience. They're not all driving Lexus and Teslas. They're just regular kids, regular students, and who get to live in a really great place. So they're like me, they just grew up in a regular family, nothing excessive, and they come here and they just get to live in a gorgeous place.
Right. Yeah, it's not bad for some California kids.
Yeah, yeah.
There are pockets of that, like you said, wealth, which is the
Mhm.
case in a lot of areas in the country, right? But it is interesting, and that rings true to me because I grew up a little bit south of where you're at, but
Mhm.
I'm a first generation student athlete, college student, graduate, all of those things. So that is more what I aligned with growing
Yeah.
up in that area.
Yeah, it's true. Some of our kids, they are first generation, and I'm really proud of just who they are as people, of course, but also as ball players. We talk a lot. When anybody knows I coach at Santa Barbara, it's always like the weather, the beach, the all the things, and we're actually playing softball here, people. We're
Yeah,
also playing softball and not just going to school and living this life, but to have a team that is that gritty, that blue collar, they're willing to work on the field, they're willing to do the things that you do at a smaller school where you don't have unlimited resources. And I think because we operate like that on a daily basis, we were able to go play in that first ever Big West tournament, lose our first game, and just grind it out. I've never coached a team who won 6 elimination games to win a championship. And
yeah,
and then not just to do that, because we could have run out of gas. We could have been like, okay, that's so cool. We got a trophy. Oh, great. Now we got to go to UCLA.
right.
Our kids backed it up. We didn't beat UCLA. We lost to them in the game one. They were better than we were. And then we played Arizona State and San Diego State, and we won those two games. We could have easily lost the second game, after the UCLA drumming, and then it was over. And it's like, hey, that's great, though. We made it to regionals. For our kids just to grind it out and to win those two games at regionals and be playing in regional finals against UCLA, I mean, that tells me everything I needed to know and kind of already knew about our team.
And that was the program's first ever regional final, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
These kids did that. Like I said, most of them I didn't even recruit. I can't take credit for all of them, and they know how to play as a team. And every coach has had that a team where you got great athletes and you're playing another team that's not as skilled, but they just have that little bit of magic. They have that little bit of lightning in a bottle, and
Yeah.
they're really a great team. They know how to operate as a team, and that's what we did last year at the end.
And I remember you telling us last time we chatted that everybody wanted In and Out after winning the Big West
Yes,
Championship. After
yes.
reaching the regional final, did they upgrade to getting some steaks or something, or what happened there?
I'm embarrassed to say, but we did not get steaks. We may have done In and Out one more time. I don't
Yeah,
know. If I was a player, I would have been like, "Okay, coach, it's time. Let's get the steak." But um, it just was that we were so tired, we were so worn out. But it was really that drive home was really fun.
yeah. Well, all the California kids know too, In and Out feels like home.
Yeah,
So maybe that is special in its own way.
yeah, I guess so. I don't get it, but it's fine. Don't
I
hate
was
me for not getting it.
Well, I was gonna say, what are your thoughts on In and Out? Because I know everyone talks about Whataburger in Texas and some other
Yeah,
things. Where do you
yeah.
rank things?
No, I'm boring because yeah, I'm not a fast food person, so I'm the wrong person to ask.
Well, that's fair. So you take care of yourself and you eat well. That's
I
good.
try. I try.
College kids maybe a little different at times.
Oh
That
yeah,
makes
and
sense.
and go for it.
Yeah,
If I was their age, that's exactly probably what I would have been eating too. Or I was eating that actually.
that's right. But something that also stood out to me and still stands out to me is your builder mentality. You know, all these years later, and you're still fired up about accomplishing firsts, creating
Yeah.
stepping stones to elevate the program. How do you stay hungry like that?
I honestly, I just think it's how I'm hardwired. I every program that I've gone to be the head coach has it was time for a change. It needed a little pick me up, a little
Mm.
boost, and fortunately, I have the energy for that. Like I really like that. I enjoy it. Um, there's nothing to lose when you go to a place that's really struggled and you come in with some confidence and some expectations and some standards, and then you stay consistent with it. There's no telling what you can do when you just knock off those three things. Just
Yeah.
it's really worked. I think, but it's a lot just about building relationships. Just trust. I feel like my players trust me, and that I'm there for the greater good for them, and I trust them too. So we're pretty fortunate in that way.
That trust and that culture seems to be a theme throughout your career, everywhere that you've been. And let me brag on you for a second here, for everybody to understand exactly what I'm talking about if they don't. Starting at Colorado State, there for 4 years, you're a two-time conference coach of the year. Then you go to your alma mater at Utah, 7 seasons there, the 1994 World Series. You break multiple program records, and then you go to 26 seasons at Texas A&M, 22 NCAA appearances, 7 Supers, and 3 World Series before now going to Santa Barbara, where you get that Big West championship and make it to the regional final. But each of those experiences, it seems like that's a common theme, that trust.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I'm that coach for my players. I hope they feel like there's equal parts of boundaries and tough love and expectation, along with she gives me some grace and that I'm not going to be perfect every day. I'm sure hoping people are giving me the same grace. So, yeah, I'm thankful for my parents. I think a lot of it's how I'm raised. My parents both kind of coached me along the way. My dad coached me the most, but when I was younger, my mom did too. And so, yeah, I think in my own coaches, outside of my parents, but you just kind of you learn those things that make a lot of sense to you, things that you won't do, things that like,
Mm,
what, I don't want to do that when I'm a coach, and things you're like, what, I can understand why a coach does that. So I think a big thing is, I try to be consistent. I try not to bring any sort of mood or, you know, something that might be going on for me into their world. So I'm not perfect. I don't always get it right, but it is important to me. I do want my players to leave having felt that there was someone that actually cared about them,
mm,
actually was not embarrassed to like be affectionate in my words with them, and appreciate them. So
mm.
I've gotten a lot of joy out of this job because I feel I'm a little more relaxed. I'm not, when you're coaching in the SEC and you're coaching at a really high level. I mean, the expectations are off the charts,
Yeah.
and every one of my coaching peers in the SEC feels it. I guarantee you. And there were a lot of times when winning felt like a relief.
Mm,
And when you love coaching and you love a sport and winning feels like a relief, it can be heavy.
yeah.
You're trying to find the joy. And here winning doesn't feel like a relief. It's just like awesome. Look what we're doing, look where we're going. And maybe I'll get to a point where it's like, if we're not winning championships every year, I hope I don't turn into an idiot, but it could be feeling like a little bit of pressure, but I don't think so. Like we don't have the same pressures here that you have at some of the other schools.
Mm. with that perspective, do you feel like your definition of success has evolved as a coach?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it does when you start to feel like, wait, we just went 20 straight years to the NCAA tournament and it was not enough.
Right.
You're sorry, your contract's not renewed. I mean, it's a wake up call, and I really had to decide, like, why am I doing this?
Mm,
It's not just about winning. It's not just about making a, a, a really nice income. You figure out why you're doing this.
mm,
And this is a place where I feel like I can do that. Like, I don't want to sound like I don't have high expectations. I expect to win. I expect us to win. And if we don't win the conference championship, I'm not going to feel like a failure. And I'm sure not going to let my kids feel like a failure.
right. Well, we talk a lot about being able to play free and how nice that is for players, but I'd imagine it's nice to be able to feel like you can coach freely
Yeah,
also.
absolutely. It's a good point. No one's ever really mentioned that to me, but yeah. And I didn't realize it until I got out of the rat race,
Mm,
out of that really heightened climate that a lot of coaches are in. Once you get on the other side of it, you do realize that there's a lot going on, and you don't have to be so crazy.
yeah.
You don't have to be crazy about it.
Yeah. Well, I will say some of your former players that have played for you in college, I have had as guests, and
Oh,
their words just are so positive about you and their experience, like Amanda Scarborough, Tori
wow.
Vidalis, Jamie Loprice, like all
Oh,
from Texas
I love
A&M.
them. Yeah. Those
Yeah.
are great kids. Well, I call them kids, but they're like grown women. But um, no, you know what? Whatever they said, like, double it for me.
Hmm.
They don't realize how much joy they bring to a coach when they play the game the way those kids played.
Hmm.
So because they play the way I played, the way I feel it should be played, they played free. They were super competitive, like I am. They want to win, but they did it with a real class and a real joy.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is they let me coach them. So there were days where they were in the doghouse, and they were in the doghouse, but they know they get out the next day. We're not carrying it on.
Yeah.
And these there's just so many players who've brought me a lot of joy, and those are three of them for sure.
Yeah. Well, and their joy when it comes to the game to this day in their various roles
Yeah,
exudes, right? And so some people they'll talk about feel like I lost my love for the game in college, and that's the last thing you want, right? For them,
yeah.
it seemed to just catapult them into what they wanted to do next.
Yeah, yeah, they did that, they put in the hard work. They prepared themselves for the next thing. A
Mm,
lot of kids just play softball in college and then it ends and then they go, "Okay, now what am I gonna do?" Amanda knew what she was gonna do. She got injured, I think it was her
mm,
freshman year or something. She got injured and she goes up in the radio booth
yeah,
because she couldn't be on the field. And like next thing you know, this kid's like going and blowing, like she's gonna do that. Tori Vidalis, as a freshman, is carrying around the camera at the football game, filming, getting like being behind the camera, and then gets to be in front of the camera. She did all of that.
yep,
Jamie Loprice was talking about branding and marketing when she was a student athlete, way before it became a thing.
yeah,
Like, and just going to school and getting her doctorate. Those kids, like, if there's a lesson for anybody to learn who's listening, who's an athlete, like, do that. You
yeah,
know, think about what it is you might want to do, and don't wait for somebody to like find a job for you. Like,
yeah,
position yourself so that someone like me can call and go, "Listen, this is a no brainer."
yeah,
Tori Vidalis, yes. Amanda Scarborough, yes. Jamie Lil Price, absolutely. So, yeah, those are great kids.
yeah. But from that sort of thought process with defining success as a coach, I'd say those are some pretty good data points there.
Yeah, yeah. Success is so different. It's not the winning thing. It's not the be all end all. Like really, I get the most joy. Obviously, winning is important,
Yeah.
and I'm grumpy if we lose. But there's also this whole other aspect that's like so rewarding. Just coaching young women is really rewarding, and challenging them, and when they let you mentor them and you can see like they're engaged and they're like you can feel the growth, and as you watch them through the years, that's so rewarding. And I don't know a coach out there that wouldn't say that's got to be the most rewarding part of the job.
Absolutely. Even
Yeah.
thinking back before A&M, another one of your former players who we all think of as a coach now for so long, but Amy Hogue,
Mhm.
Utah, right? On
Yeah.
that World Series team in '94, and look what she's done with her alma mater, your alma mater,
Yeah.
since then. And
Yeah.
to see that kind of move forward, right? Like she
Mhm.
played for you, now she's coaching. She has people who played for her that are kind of giving
Yeah.
back. It's that continuous cycle in the best way.
Yeah, it's a great community, and I mean, I knew her when she was just a little kid,
Yeah.
in high school, and I feel like I practically raised that kid, and she was so, so competitive, and man, she just get fired up, and so there was that balance of, like, her letting me coach her, letting me kinda rein in a little bit,
Yeah.
and then but still letting her play so that she has that energy, and she's look what she's doing as a coach, with that. So I'm really proud of her, and all of the kids I've coached who are in coaching or any other job that they're just killing it. They learn a lot from being a college athlete.
Yeah. Well, don't we all, right? Even though it's evolved a lot and it will continue to, there's some things that are just inherent
Yeah,
in sports, right? That we all learn.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But because you've had all of these different experiences as well, from Colorado State to Utah to A&M to now UCSB, what do you feel like each of those chapters taught you as a coach and maybe even just as a person too?
Yeah. Yeah, my first job, I was 24 years old when I got that Colorado State job, and, I didn't know anything. I mean, I don't even know how we were successful. I'll bet you everyone looks back and go, "How do we even win when I was that age and stupid and didn't know what I was doing?" But, um, yeah, it's that job was really I've because I was so young and they were so close to my age, I was
Mhm.
very much like, there's definitely a wall, there's definite boundaries, and I felt like I kinda had to be the heavy,
Mm.
and, looking back, I think I probably wasn't as patient as I am now, but a really cool thing is a year ago, 4 of my former players from Colorado State flew to Santa Barbara, rented an Airbnb, spent the weekend watching us play, and then I go hang out with them at night at the house. It was the most amazing experience. So I would not have known that they felt like they would even wanna come hang out with their coach who was just trying to figure it out, you know? So
Right.
I kinda learned that, I was on the right path, but I was just trying to figure it out. And then Utah was, like, almost kinda easy because it was my alma mater and my family was there. I had so much support.
Yeah.
Um, Everyone knew me there. Like, our family is tied to the athletics department, so that just felt really comfortable,
Yeah.
and I definitely got to just have my personality and do my thing. And then, when A&M called, I was like, "No way am I doing that." I'm in my dream job. I don't need to leave here. We've been to 2 World Series. We actually went to World Series in '91 and '94. So
Yeah.
Amy Timmel at the time was a freshman. And so then A&M called. I remember I had a conversation, with the assistant AD, and then I walked down to my, associate AD and said, "Hey, listen, A&M just called. They want me to consider this job." I go, "I'm just letting you know I'm not doing that." And she said, "Oh, wait a minute. Yes, you are. You will talk to them, you will entertain the possibility of coaching at Texas A&M. I mean, what a learning lesson for me, really valuable,
Yeah.
because I was in my comfort zone. I was killing it, in my
Yeah.
mind. And she said, "No, you need to seriously look at this." I didn't take offense. I didn't think, "Oh, she's trying to get rid of me." I
Right.
saw it for what it was, is that's what a mentor does for you. They
Right.
challenge you in ways that you won't challenge yourself. And I ended up, I say, going to A&M kicking and screaming because I didn't want to leave my family and I didn't want to leave my alma mater. And it was challenging. It was challenging, a whole different culture and a different university, and leaving a place that loved me to a place that was like, prove yourself,
Yeah.
help us figure out if this was the right choice. And then being there, and that growth that I had at A&M, I would never have gotten if I'd stayed at Utah.
Yeah.
And just how challenging it was initially. It challenged me in every way to really figure out who I was as a coach and how to adapt to
Mm.
somebody else's culture. And it can't just be what you want to do. It also has to be, what is this culture, this community, this university, and how can I adapt to that? And then once I did that, it was amazing. It was great. So, and then now, shoot, this is just icing on the cake.
Yeah. Well, it's that adaptability. We always talk about how, great talent is versatile, great talent makes adjustments and stuff, but we talk about that a lot when it comes to the players. But coaches, you have to be able to live that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah. Just the ability to kind of take a step back and say, I don't know everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to cram everything down someone's throat. Really got to take a step back and listen and learn,
Right.
and be flexible. And you're right, that adaptability is really important in a coach. And I see it all the time. There's so many great coaches out there, and they're continuing to evolve and adapt. Look at my coaching peers in the SEC and the Power Fours that are now having to adapt to NILs and money and transfer portal. I mean, those coaches, it's not easy, and people think, oh, you got it made because you've been at this great school and you played in the World Series, and you're killing it and you're making a ton of money. But those coaches that's rough. That's
Yeah.
not an easy position for them to be in.
Yeah. It's not an easy life.
No, but it's
Mm.
like the best life.
Yeah. Two things
And
can be true.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too, is such different experiences, different environments. You've been in the mountains a couple times in
Mhm.
Colorado and Utah. Then you went to Texas, little flatter in the humidity, like you said,
Yes.
and now at the beach, right? But
Yeah.
it's what a cool, just sort of full circle, or running the whole gamut in terms of environment too, where softball is at the center of it.
Yeah. Yeah. What a blessing. I mean, what a tremendous opportunity. Like you said, to just be in totally different places, climates, environments, all of it, and to enjoy all of it. Like, I've had people ask me, what school did you love the most? And it was the one I was at. It was like, I
Yeah.
always say, like, I have had like these four love affairs, and it's Colorado State and Utah and Texas A&M and now UCSB. It's um yeah, it's being open to it for sure. And these opportunities have been really lucky for sure.
Yeah. And you've mentioned, the power conference experience and also mid-major experience. And how do you kind of compare it from that perspective? And what do you think you've learned going back to the mid-major experience?
Yeah, I think one thing I've learned is, like, coaching is coaching.
Mm.
If you love the game, you can love the game anywhere. The thing that separates a lot is resources, facilities, things like that.
Right.
But the game stays true. And I have really enjoyed the Big West Conference. I've enjoyed my fellow Big West coaches. Did I say Big 12 or did I say Big West?
I think
I
you
hope I
said
said
Big
Big West.
West, but
Okay. Yeah. Because I did coach in the Big 12 at one time
For
too.
a
So
long time, yeah.
yeah, but I really enjoyed the Big West. Enjoyed the coaches in this conference. We have some young coaches, and hopefully, I can be a good role model for those coaches. And um, but yeah, it's competitive everywhere.
Yeah.
The game is the game, and you see how like Fullerton last year, we went to their place and we swept them, which we had never done. And then they came back on a roll and they just wiped out the conference.
Yeah.
And I mean, that, their coach, Gina Oakes, got coach of the year. She deserved it.
Yeah.
What they did. So that I just have so much respect for coaches in general.
Mhm.
And it shouldn't be if they're not playing on ESPN, main channel that it's not a good product. Like there's such a good product out there in all the conferences,
Yeah.
and I that's what I found here is when we get really some teams that are really like comparable, and there's some really good battles, and that's
Yeah.
been fun.
Well, and we talked about how success is there's layers to it, right? But if you just look at the win column too, you're part of a very exclusive club now of D1 head coaches to take 4 different programs to the NCAA tournament. So from that sort of perspective, the more traditional sense of what success is, that's been there too, even though each experience has been totally different, different group, but you've been that common denominator.
Yeah, I've been fortunate because no coach gets there without good players,
Yeah.
and not just good players, but buy-in.
Hmm.
And those kids from Colorado State bought in,
Yeah.
and the Utah kids did, and the A&M kids did. So, yeah, the coach can be the common denominator, but you do not get there alone. And then, like, I've been really fortunate too that my coaching staffs have all been really good. And, you look at here, like, I have a veteran staff that coaches would love to have these people on their staff. And we're here just figuring it out, just making
Yeah.
it work. It's been fun.
I always love to hear about the staff. Like anytime I'm doing coach calls to prepare for broadcasts, for example, I like to ask about the staff because to me, it's the team within the team,
Yeah.
right? It's that starts at the top in that way. And sometimes coaches are a little surprised. They're like, "Oh, well, thank you for asking. Not everyone
Yeah.
asks me about that," and they get excited
Yeah.
to talk about their staff because
Yeah.
it's their other team.
It's so true because the head coach gets all the accolades, really, and unless you have a coach, say you've got a hitting coach and your team's hitting like 70 bombs, and they're like, "Hey, who's that hitting coach?" But
Right.
most of the time, it's just the head coach that's going to get all the atta girls and the atta boys, but then they also do get the, you suck when you lose. Um, but yeah, the assistant coaches, they're always behind the scenes. Our coaches, like Amy Hayes was a head coach for a long time. Her last stint was at Bradley as a head coach. Our hitting coach is Rachel Huggins, and she played for Amy Hayes at Bradley, and then she coached with her at Bradley. And then Joy Jackson was an assistant coach of mine for like 30 years. She was at A&M with me the whole time. She was at Utah for a year, and then A&M the whole time, and now here. So, what coach gets the luxury of having a staff like that and to keeping them together? So that's been a big part of the magic here is, the coaches before, like the program was struggling a bit, but they really only had one assistant coach.
Mm.
So when I came here, the administration was able to go, hey, yeah, we need to raise the bar. We
Yeah.
need a whole support staff, a whole coaching staff. And when they did that, I feel like that's when everything changed for Santa Barbara softball.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like investment, right? That could be
Yeah.
time, that could be resources, it could be the university, just investment. You have to have
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would, argue that the budget isn't going to be as important. The recruiting budget's not going to be as important. The facility even is not as important as putting together a professional staff who's good at what they do, get that piece in place, and then let's grow the budget, let's grow the facility and all of those. But you can have all those nice things, and if you don't have a good coaching staff in place, or you don't have enough support from the coaching side, you're not going to be successful.
Hmm. You talked about buy-in for the players. Well, the coaches as a whole
Yeah,
staff have to be bought in too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
How do you think you foster true buy-in like that?
I think you better give I shouldn't say better. For me, I think you should give autonomy.
Mm,
Your coaches should have autonomy. If you got a pitching coach, they've got to be able to run the pitching staff, run the bullpens, call the pitches. I mean, obviously as a head coach, you definitely should give input, and you have every right to give input. But that pitching coach has to feel like, you know what? I know these kids inside and out. I know how to do my job, and my coach trusts me to do it.
mm,
Same with our hitting coach. All of our coaches have autonomy. Our hitting coach is with the hitters every single day in the cages, just like most hitting coaches around the country. So she doesn't need me in the middle going, "Hey, what about this?" Or, "Hey, I just saw this drill on,
right.
Instagram." Yeah, there's going to be back and forth, a lot of strategy talk, but those coaches need to feel like I trust them to implement the kind of systems that will work in our overall system.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you get the buy-in. Now, don't get me wrong, there are days where it's like, wait a minute, I don't feel like we're actually on the same page, or we're not
Sure.
seeing eye to eye. That's normal.
Yeah.
That should happen.
Right.
That means you're engaged and talking about things and trying new things. But yeah, the coaching staff is key, I think.
How does that extend to the players? Like, what level of autonomy do you give them while also giving them guidance? That balance is always
Yeah,
so intriguing to me.
it really is. I can't tell you how many times I say to my players, player-led teams are the best,
Yeah.
the most fun. So what your job is to like figure out what are our standards, what are the expectations, how does coach like things run? Um, can we learn the strategy? Can we learn the system? And when you learn that and you have upperclassmen who can then be responsible to that, like be accountable to the standards and what needs to get done, and they do it before you tell them to do it, so fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's when the magic happens,
Yeah.
and when you talk about Tori, you talk about Low Prize and Scarborough, those they played on teams that were player led teams,
Mm,
and they were a big part of the leading. But you have to give them some autonomy. You have to trust them. They have to earn your trust. And I always kind of feel, this trust thing is like, well, I'm not giving you my trust till you earn it. And
mm.
then I'm like, well, how do you ever? Who's to say when they earn the trust? Like, what are you going to put them through?
Yeah.
Like I
Right.
kind of try to like trust them off the bat and say, these are my expectations and these are the standards. And I will trust you until you give me a reason not to trust you.
Yeah.
And I think that there's some autonomy in that. Oh, okay, she's going to let me be my own person. And then she's also going to trust that I understand what she's asking me to do. So, but the player led teams, so fun because honestly, a lot of times I feel like I'm just sitting back and watching.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like that last year at the end when we 6 elimination games to win the championship. That wasn't I was like a fan, standing there watching. It was so fun.
And that is when you tend to win, right?
Yes.
I mean, like so many things you have to build the foundation first, but like end result wise, like you do tend to win more
Yeah.
when it's player led and when everyone's bought in.
Yeah. And it's so much more fun. I think as much fun for the coaches as it is for the players, but certainly fun for the players.
Yeah.
Like I feel like every team wants to feel like they own it.
Yeah.
They've got ownership. And I think we as coaches have a lot to do with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are one of the winningest coaches in D1 softball. We know it's more than wins, but you still got those two, nearly 1,400 wins in your career as a head coach. But what are your favorite kinds of victories? What are the best ones, the ones that
The
feel the
best
best?
the best ones are when the kid that you think's not going to be the star ends up being the star.
Yeah,
Like I can think of like it wasn't a win, we lost. It was a World Series game, but we had a player that I absolutely loved. Her name was Selena Massey. She rarely got to play. We had a catcher who was, just playing all the time. And we were in the seventh inning. We were out of the game at that point at the World Series. And she's a senior. She goes in and pitch hits, and hits a home run, like just hits a bomb. And I got so excited, got goosebumps. I mean, we were about to lose the game at the World Series. That didn't feel good. But in that moment, you would have thought we just won the game because the dugout cleared, the bench cleared, we were celebrating as if we had just won. And I remember after the game going through the line and kind of apologizing to Kelly Inouye and Kirk Walker, like, hey, I wasn't, we weren't trying to be jerks, like we get it, we were losing, we were going to lose. But that moment that we had for her, like I'll never
yeah.
forget it. So, but yeah, big wins like that, just for a person. But
Mm,
then also, like, one of the biggest was our World Series with Megan Gibson on the mound. Scarborough had gotten injured.
yeah,
Will Price was in center and Henshaw third. So we get to a point where we're playing Florida and we're undefeated. Um, we're both undefeated, and they beat us. No, they had a loss. They beat us, and back then you had to turn right around and play again.
right.
And this was to get to the national championship series. So they beat us pretty soundly. We had to turn right back around. Megan Gibson was the only one who was going to be pitching. She
Yeah,
was carrying us at that point, and she goes out, figures out her changeup in between the games, comes back out. We play them. She just mows them down. We end up winning in the ninth inning, extra innings. We're visitors. We score, and then we come out and we hold them to win, to take us to the national championship series. That win was so sweet. Of course, because we got to the national championship
sure.
series, but even more so to watch Gibson after just getting beat by them and dead tired and about to run out of gas and go reinvent herself and get out there and have the guts to do what she did. That was a cool win. So those are the kind of, games that I remember.
Yeah. I think I remember watching that World Series that
Yeah,
year.
it was pretty special.
It was. Well, Coach, I could keep talking to you forever. In fact, I want to, but I will respect your time, promise. To wrap up, I do play a game with everybody who comes on the show, including all your former players I mentioned. It's called Safer Out. So basically, I'll bring up a topic. If you like it or you agree with it, you call it safe. If not, then you call it out. That makes
Okay.
sense. Okay.
Okay. Yep. I'll
So you
do
get
my
to be the
best.
umpire. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, first one is wearing a helmet coaching third base. Safe or out?
Safe, embarrassing, but safe.
Yeah,
You do
I
what
feel
you
like
got
I've
to do.
seen some clips and photos of you, Coach. Is that fair to
Yep.
say?
Yep.
Yeah.
I got hit in the head my very first year at A&M, was in bed for 5 weeks. Coach Jackson had to take over the team, and the doctor said, "You'll wear a helmet or you won't do this." So, yeah, so I've been wearing it for, geez, 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a pretty good reason to do it
Yeah.
also. And it's become
It's
iconic, I think, for you.
yeah, it's super uncool, believe me, but yeah, it's for a purpose.
Still fun. All right, that was the first one. Second one, which you touched upon earlier, but for the record, NIL, safer out.
Mm. God, honestly, it's a toss up in that out because of kind of what it's created in terms of um, the transfer portal and kids not getting to have a full experience at a school, but safe and in because student athletes are working their tails off and have been for so long that they're the ones putting in the work and the grind. So they're getting compensated for it. So I know I'm hedging, but I feel both, you know,
Yeah.
but I do, here's about this place. We don't do NIL, and there's feels like a kind of still purity, like a little bit of innocence about
Sure.
what we're doing here.
Right.
And it's harder to sustain that when you're talking about a lot of money changing hands.
Right. Well, and like we said earlier, two things can be true, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Fair enough. All right. The last one is bat flips. Safe or out?
Okay, out. But I mean, I know that that's so unpopular for me to say. And yeah, I know it's boring. It's boring, but yeah, I don't know. I've never been a big fan of just let's draw this attention to myself, you know? Like I don't know. I just for some reason struggle with that. And if somebody throws a bat, it's fine. I'm not mad. They're not going to get punished. You know, it's their thing, but I kind of like act like you've been there. I kind of like that.
It honestly, total mixed bag when I ask
It
people
is.
this
Yeah.
question. It is a total mixed bag. People
Yeah.
feel like that, like act like you've been there before, or people feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, why not? The men do it. You know, it's
Yeah.
totally but I think that's actually very cool that
Yeah.
that there's a lot of different thoughts and
Yeah.
opinions.
And I also feel like there's a time and a place too.
True.
If you just walked it off, heck yeah. Do whatever thing you want to do. You know, if you're winning 15-0 and you just hit a home run that squeaked over the wall, like, just trot
Right.
around the bases.
Right.
But yeah, I think there are times where it's absolutely, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Yes, like when your player Selena hit the home run or something, that's probably a moment where you're okay with it. I don't know if she did, but you would have been probably okay with it.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Coach. This has been awesome. I knew it would be.
Oh, thank you.
I'm excited to see everything that you continue to do at Santa Barbara. And if it's half as fun as watching everything you've done to this point, then it'll be a really cool way to see this chapter of your career.
Thank you so much. And what a great job you do.
Oh,
Like,
thank you.
you can have interviews and it's like, okay, next question, next question. And you do a great job. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I
Appreciate
appreciate that. You guys make it easy. Guests like you. I'm thrilled to get to chat about everything with Jo Evans. She has such a diverse head coaching experience in college softball, and she just seems like the type of person where you learn something from her every single conversation. And I also got to show some love to where I'm from. I've been wearing this 805 shirt this whole time, forgot to show her, but had to show you all because if you know me, you know that I'm proud to rep it. So just a great note to start on, and I hope you're as excited for the rest of this year as much as I am. With that, let's bring it home. You've been listening to Bleav in Softball, part of Bleav Network, presented by FanDuel. The show is available anywhere you get your podcasts, wherever you listen, including Bleav.com and YouTube too. Subscribe to the show, rate the show. If you liked it, write a review. Follow us on X and Instagram at Bleav in Softball. Again, that's BLEAV. You can always reach out to me personally on X at Jenna Becerra01 and Instagram at Jenna Becerra as well. Catch new episodes every other week this season. We are excited to get into it. So thank you for tuning in and catch you soon.